So I got a true story for you. This was years ago. I had a business appointment. It was actually a notary appointment. I got hired to go to someone's home. They were selling a property, and so I was to go there and to notarize their closing documents for selling the property. And I had no idea who I was meeting with. A lot of times I don't know who I'm meeting with. And so I get to the person's home and knock on the door, and some guy answers the door. It was like a monk, and he had shaved head and everything, and he just, please come in, take off your shoes, come in. So I took off my shoes and I entered, and the guy, he said, here, just wait here a moment. So he goes into the back room, and out comes this guru-looking guy, with the robes on and everything, and long black hair. Just was like exactly what you would picture of like some yogi monk, some like enlightened individual. And you could just tell, like, as soon as I saw him, like, I just was like, whoa, this guy, like, what's going on here? So the guy comes out, and very peaceful, and like, yeah, here, take a seat. Like, right on the floor? Yeah, and he sits down on the floor, and so I just sit down on the floor with him, and so we started signing the papers, and I get to I'm talking so fast. What's going on? Who is this guy? What's going on? And I start talking to him and everything, and I find out his story. He lives or was from up in the Himalayan mountains. That's where he lived, at like some monastery or something way up in the Himalayan mountains, and that was where he lived his whole life. And what happened was that a member of the U.S. Congress, I guess one day, went out to the Himalayas to to travel around, to hike, and try to become enlightened or something. And so he somehow heard about this this monastery or something up in the mountains, and so this member of Congress went up there, and he was able to meet this like guru guy, the guy that I was with, and the member of Congress was so like enlightened by this guy that he met. He got to spend time with him. I know he spent a period of time with him, and it affected him so much, his association with this guy, that when he came back, he wanted to bring the guy back with him, and he asked him if he could bring him back so that he could help share his teachings and his knowledge with the other members of the U.S. Congress. And he said, if you're willing to come back and teach some of your knowledge and your wisdom to the other members of the Congress, and yogi practices and things like that, then in exchange he would get him guaranteed U.S. citizenship, something like that. Like he would give him like some kind of obviously this was a powerful individual, and so he was able to get him, permanent ability to be able to like come into the U.S., leave and stay as he pleased. I don't know exactly. I think it was U.S. citizenship, and so the guru guy accepted and came back to the United States with him, and worked, I guess, with the U.S. Congress for a period of time. I don't know how long and exactly what they did, but maybe some yogi practices or something like that, yoga or whatever. And from there, after that, he, I guess this guy had a following, like a lot of people that, disciples and so forth that knew about him, and that, followed him and looked up to him. And so when he was in the U.S., he visited different students and disciples, and just kind of traveled around, and he was given a house as a gift, a house, and that's the one that I was meeting him at. It wasn't like an amazing house. It was just like just like a medium style house, and so he was getting, and so when I was meeting with him, he was selling that house, and so. And he had, he said afterwards he was planning to travel the country some more, and just travel and meet people, and just, continue on his journey and his study. And I asked him, why he was, what he was selling the house for, and somehow it came up in conversation. And basically, he was selling the house, and he was donating all of the money, 100% of the proceeds from the house, to a church, and I was like, what church? I was like, oh, which church? And it was just it just happened to be some little random church right across the street, like just like this. I think it was like a little Christian church, a really small one. And I was like, oh, do you go to that church or something, or are you friends with them, or you know them? He's like, no, I don't know them. And I'm like, wait a second. And it was like, he was selling the house. It was like $100,000. I'm like, so you're selling this house, and you're donating 100% of the money, all $100,000, to this random church right across the street, and you don't even know them or anything? No. It just seemed like a nice, place just to, donate the money to. I'm like, what? I'm like, you're just donating all this money? I'm like, aren't you going to keep any for yourself or anything? And, no, it's okay. He didn't have any worry about it. He was just going to just sell the house, all this money. He had no money, and then it was just going to continue on, just traveling around the country and, with staying at different friends' houses and things like that, bumbling along like a nomad. And I was like dumbfounded. I'm like, wait a second. So I remember I asked him, I said, well, how are you ever going to retire doing this? How are you ever going to retire? If you just, because to me, my brain, I couldn't compute this. I'm like, wait a second. Don't you ever want to retire someday? Or don't you want to have some money set aside as like a safety net, a safety cushion? And he smiled and he looked at me, and I'll never forget what he said. And he said, let me ask you something. He said, would you rather live a life that you don't enjoy but have the security of a safety net, or would you rather live a life that you love without any safety net? And I was like, whoa. I couldn't even really respond to that because I'm dumbfounded. I was like, whoa. I couldn't even. It was hard for me to compute it. And he said, he just smiled and he said, but one of the things that I've noticed. He said, in the West here, he said people are more concerned with having this with security and having a safety net than they are with happiness and living a life that they truly enjoy. And he said, but the thing is that security is just an illusion. The safety net that you cling to is just an illusion. So there is no real security. And I never forgot that. How it just hit me so deep, this meeting, and I'll never forget that question. And I was like, wow. And see, the thing is this about retiring. We've been conditioned from a young age, and it is such a part of our society that it's more important to make a living than it is to live a life. And so many people live in fear about about making sure they're able to retire, and people will work their whole life at a job that makes them miserable so that someday they can retire when they're 60 or 70, and then they'll have a few good years, not even really, because by that time most people's health has completely declined, and for what? But then their whole life they worked and they didn't even enjoy their life, just so that you can have just a few good years, just a couple of years. I mean, what kind of a life is that? I would rather live my life, a life that I enjoy all along, and have no safety net at all. And so this is the thing: when you the saying, when you love what you do, they say you never work a day in your life. And I know some people could say, oh, that's so hard to do, to be able to do what you love and everything like that. And you're right, that can be tricky, but this is the key. This is something that I learned, is that you can learn to love anything that you do. Even if you don't, maybe it's the most mundane job, and a job that you can, the brain is so powerful that you can find a way to love what it is that you do. And I know for me, that was a big thing for me, because I remember with my notary business, which was like my first real big business that I built up, and I was making a lot of money with it, and I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I don't like this, I'm driving, even though I was making great money, I was like driving around all the time doing this and that and everything, and And then after that appointment, and I started to realize, and after more self-improvement, I realized, you know what, I can love what I can do. I can find a way to love what I do. And so now I still have this business amongst other businesses, but I found a way that I truly love what I do. I enjoy it. I'm constantly, when I'm driving, listening to audio books, and I'm educating myself. I've come to enjoy meeting different people so much, and the adventures. I see it every day as a different adventure. If you're a janitor, you can find a way to love that. You can get all excited and cleaning up and seeing it that you're an artist cleaning up the place, and you can turn it into a workout, and you can have fun. There's always a way to find a way to love what it is that you do. And the other key is that study up and learn and practice a minimalist and a simple life. We've been conditioned from a young age about materialism and that we need all this stuff. And I used to fall into that trap too. I wanted the whole fancy, life, the Dan Bilzerian type life, the fancy exotic cars, the mansions and everything. But one thing I've come to learn is, when you learn to live a simple life and be okay with having a minimalist life, then it takes a lot of stress and pressure off of you. And you can still live a phenomenal life and have all the adventures and all kinds of experiences just living a simple life you don't need the Lamborghinis and the things like that. What all is that going to do for you? What really, that's the nice thing about living a minimalist life, is that your overhead is a lot lower. You don't need as much money. It's simpler. I don't have any debt. That's another thing too. The key to retiring young is to stay away from debt at all costs. I don't have any debt. I know society and everybody loves to pressure people to, you got to get a mortgage and this and that. Guys, debt is the modern day form of slavery. So if you can learn to live your life without any debt, you're free. You've basically already retired. And then taking care of your health. That's, to me, is one of the top priorities, having good health. Most people, by the time they make it to 60 years old to retire, their health is so poor, they've got one foot already in the grave. I want to still be climbing rocks, mountain climbing and so forth at 80 years old and surfing waves 80 and 90 years old. And you certainly can if you take care of your health. So how do you retire young, guys? Well, you learn to love what it is that you do regardless. You start to live a more minimalistic life. Keep up your health. Maintain the health is the ultimate wealth. If you have health, you're going to have, you've already retired and won if you have great health, because most people don't ever get to experience that in their entire life. And live a life that you love. Have fun. That's one thing. I've traveled so much over my life. I've been all over the world. I've had all kinds of experiences, and I love traveling. I just booked another trip for Jamaica. I'm going to put in a couple more trips by the end of this year. Travel all the time. Have fun. I have so many friends that live out of vans and RVs, and I just think it's the coolest thing. People that live off of boats and things like that. That's awesome. Who cares about all the fancy dancy stuff, the exotic cars and things like that? I would rather live a life that I love, and be able to be free. Freedom is the ultimate retirement, in my opinion. So, guys, think about that question again that monk said to me. Would you rather live a life that you don't enjoy but have the security of a safety net, or would you rather live a life that you love but not have a safety net? I hope you're all having a great day. And until next time, let's make it a great day, a great week, a great month, a great year. Let's make it a great life. See ya.